It's live? Awesome, okay. Hello everyone, Derek Hurtado here. I want to talk to you about finding your purpose in 2020. I know there are a lot of videos out there going over this, but I want to get real practical with you and show you how you can leave your mark on the world. So first, I want to define what is purpose so we can all be on the same page. Purpose is the reason for which something exists. Nothing is scarier than not knowing why you're in this world. It is our job to find that purpose and act on it, to leave impact to the world and to change lives, change everything that you see in the world that you don't like. That's the goal here. And there is actually a formula to do that. I've done it myself and I can't wait to share what my declaration of existence is. But first, let's dive into how to do that. So right now, I want you to pull out a piece of paper or pull up a Google Doc or anything that you can write on to be able to go over this next exercise, which is the past touch points of your life. Now, for people viewing this, I'm assuming that you're going to be anywhere from the age of 18 to 40. And that's going to be people that are, they've had some previous experience, but they still have a long way to go. But even if you're at 40, you can still find that life purpose. Don't be afraid by where you're at. But let's start today to change that. So, first thing I want you to do is write out the touch points of your life. Now, luckily, we all have commonalities because we've all went to school. And those are the moments of our life that we can really recall. So I want you to think of your earliest moment, your first memory. Now, this is a time where a lot of people, they may not even remember what those first memories are, but you kind of have a glimpse of it. Like for me, I remember, oh man, it's crazy rattling my head just thinking about it. I remember being in a living room, seeing people do different things. A lot of my mind goes to pictures I've seen in my past because that kind of triggers it. Maybe it's a false memory, but what I saw, what I remember, and what I felt like was my biggest strengths at the time was, I had a sense of community, and I felt like there was people around me. I felt I was really passionate about just my needs being met as a baby. I just wanted needs met, and so I was a little spunky kid, but that's what kind of I remember is just wanting to be a part of the group, and I remember just being part of the family and just wanting my needs met. So after the first memory, which maybe you have a little, maybe you have a lot. We want to move on to what I think most of us remember is our first big kind of touch point in school, and that was kindergarten. Kindergarten was when we first started meeting people. We first started to, play with Legos and video games. And in my kindergarten, I remember one is friends. I loved making friends. So that kind of ties back to the community. What other things were really important in my life then? At kindergarten, I wanted recess. I wanted to play. I loved games. I loved figuring things out. I loved hide and seek, all those things. And so, K through, I would say third grade, what was it? Sixth grade. So sixth grade is when you enter middle school, right? And so sixth grade, this is the time where obviously you can remember it better because the first memory in kindergarten is a little rough. But sixth grade, man, that was a time. I remember for me, at that time, I've been playing chess since third grade. So I was super involved in chess. I loved chess a lot. I also was into videography. I got into, back in the day, they had the cool Lego sets that you could film and do stop motion. So I was really into video and also movies. I loved going to the movie theater. It was probably my favorite thing in the world was going to the movie theater. At the same time, I was also into a lot of different things. I was into sports, big time. I kind of was really diverse. And then the other thing, which was a big part of my life, is I loved hanging out with different types of people because everyone kind of found their lane around sixth grade. They tried not even finding their lane, but cliques came out, and I was always friends with everyone. Hopefully, if anyone's watching this that wasn't friends with me at that time, let me know. But I thought I had a good reputation. So first memory, kindergarten, sixth grade. Now let's dive in to the first year of high school. So that's a freshman in high school. And this is the point where people are, declaring themselves. At this time, we had our own bubble where it was the declaration of existence. And so we had an idea that, we kind of said we wanted to be, but we didn't really know. Back then I was a hardcore video gamer. Played video games all the time. I was still playing chess. I just liked games. I loved figuring out ways to, accomplish difficult tasks. I loved, at the same time, freshman in high school, I got pretty good at video. I started making cool videos for all the class projects. Freshman year in high school, I was super nervous all the time. That's when I started to get more anxiety. So I really became more closed. I was really into more movies. And I really liked, even in high school, I was really happy hanging out with people. But I felt like I was more into kind of solitude at times too. So I like to kind of, hang out, watch movies. I was at freshman in high school, I was playing video games, also I was doing gymnastics too and rock climbing. So I was doing more sports, I would say. And those were my big interests at the time, and also girls. I didn't date anyone during this time, but I obviously wanted to. And so, that's kind of my interest, I would say, in freshman. Now, this is interesting because what a crazy 4 years high school is. It really transforms a lot of people. And so as I exited high school, I would say, this is me kind of graduate of high school. My interest at the time of graduation was I've been playing video games this whole time. What the hell am I going to be doing? And this is where I started to look at more career interests. And that's where I found myself, I kind of look back, because we always do this. We look back, video games, chess. I didn't know what I wanted, but my parents and teachers all said, you should be an engineer. You like solving problems. So engineering was huge. I liked at the same time, I didn't play chess anymore. I thought that was nerdy. I was kind of I lost that from freshman to the end of high school. But I played video games like crazy. I was constantly gaming. I loved the escape, the feeling. It was more than just enjoyment. It was I liked having different personas. I felt like it was creating video, but it was a real-time experience, Sports, I stopped playing sports by the end of high school. Girls were definitely something I was interested in. Still haven't dated anyone at this point, but I was definitely interested. College, you're going to hear, changed a lot. But those are my interests. And then also, at this time, like most people, you get kind of into politics a little bit. So I had a lot of hardcore Republican friends, and I loved to hear their passion. So I just really got into being, I was going to say politics, but I'll just say Republican. I didn't even know what that meant. I just liked hearing the debacle. And then I liked Democrats too, because I could take either stance. Democrats. I like listening to both because then I could just take one and battle against the other whenever I had a conversation. So from that, I realized I really like debate. And also, from that, I also liked educating myself outside of school. School never talked about politics. I went to a lot of religious schools, so religion was something I always had to hear about. I didn't like it. I didn't like hearing about math and writing and all this stuff, but I liked learning things outside, high school as well. I was getting into programming. So as you're doing this, you really want to write out as much as you can. See how when you first start, your memories are a little less, and as you get closer to where you are, you start to fill in more interests. And some of you might be very focused, may have one interest that they've been doing their whole life and they love it. Cool. Maybe you're more diverse, and like me, I'm more of a generalist. I like a bunch of different things. So let's keep moving down. I want to go over to the next part. So after you graduated high school, for me, I went to college. And for the sake of this, we'll kind of put that as a major touch point too. It's okay, let's put college and when you hit 21, I would say. Let's say when you hit 21 years old. So at this point, I went to ASU and I experienced a lot. Moving out of my house, living my own, experience. I did some Uber driving on the side. I joined a fraternity, which changed so much. So 21 years, my interests were very different. One was, I was in the frat, which meant I liked girls, and I was super into cycling at the time. That was one of my biggest accomplishments, was cycling across the country with my fraternity bros. Did that. I stopped playing video games in college. I thought that was a loser thing. I had a very bad self-image of myself. I didn't know how to be, so I just tried to fit in. But 21 years, like, my interests were, fraternity, cycling. I didn't give a crap about education, and I felt like I was pretty structured. I got huge into bongs. So I loved art, not so much getting high. I loved the aesthetic. I loved art. I loved I got into photography and still doing video. I really got into the art side of things, like kind of the hippie art vibe where it's like experiences. How do we feel? Like, I wanted to make videos on lifestyle, and I kind of did all three. I took pictures of girls in fraternity. I took videos and photos of cycling. I wrote about it. I did a lot of bongs art, photography, video. And then at the time too, I switched from wanting to be an engineer to psychology. I wanted to understand people and their emotions. I liked the systematic approach to psychology. So I was studying psych, can't spell, psych and statistics. So I really had a liking for like the math, but also kind of the creating part, the creation. And so the next one would be, I think this is, when you hit 25, I think this is where it stops right now. This is the past. So ideally, this is someone that's 25 plus, but even then, like, you can stop here if you're 21 or in high school. And 25 years this is where I graduated college, and I was looking at more like, okay, my focus is on money. My focus is on, cycling. I obviously was super stoked on that. As soon as I graduated, I quit the whole bong art thing. I did photography because I love doing it on the side, and then I was doing video editing as my job. Whatever, you don't have to read it. But if you look back at this, you can kind of see, okay, so I started my first memory, I had these interests and these interests and these interests throughout the whole time. So I want you to at least you've been following along, hopefully doing this exact same thing. You have a similar list to me where you wrote all this out. Now, what we're going to do is rank each of the columns in the most priority interest, the most passionate you had in that time of your life, in that touch point. So for me, needs met was obviously number 1, and community was number 2. Perfect. Friends was 2. I like playing the most, so 1. And then we go through the whole thing. So, for me, 6th grade chess. Chess was a big one. Chess and video was really in the top 2. So I was 2. I think this was 1. Friends was obviously 3. Sports was 4, and movies was 5. And we go through the whole list kind of doing. I'll just do the first 3, but you could go through and fill all this out in ranking. And now, we want to look at the top 1. So for me, like, commonality over all these, because I already did this, like, let's look at the top passions. So the top passions, like, out of all this, what came to the top, and then we're going to circle, the similarities. As friends went throughout all of this, it's things, when you look at what your purpose is, it's always been there with you. You just haven't been able to see it yet. You haven't been able to put a lens on it. Now we are, by going through and circling the commonalities, and we'll notice that there's some things that arise at the top, every single one. For me, look at this. As soon as I got into video was in here every single time. Like, it just went through the whole thing. And so, top passion, video. Now, is my passion, my purpose to make videos? No, but it's something that I can explore. Video creation is creating, it's artistic, it's what it embodies. That is something that I should definitely tap into. 2, I've always been into accomplishing challenges with, solving problems. What's solving problems? That's very, related to chess. I'm strategic, strategy. So I've always been into, solving problems and strategy. So I can kind of break down the giant passions I've had through my whole life. And just this alone brings you a lot of ammunition. Because if you're really lost, as I'm assuming you are in this video, you're watching this trying to figure out what is my purpose? What do I need to be doing? To me, I've looked at this and it just gives me so much reassurance. I feel so much more powerful about my decisions moving forward, because I know if I do some of these things, one, I could still say making a video right now like I'm doing is fun to me. Solving problems, how to find life purpose is fun to me. It gives me energy. Strategizing how to do this, how do I put this in words so that you can understand and for you to make moves, excites me. So I feel really powerful right now. I feel like I'm living my purpose, and I just broke down to you how I came to that conclusion using my past. Now this is really exciting. Let me find something to erase this, because now I'm going to go over the next part, which is even more exciting, because that was the past. And some of us, maybe we didn't have the opportunities to explore a lot of our passions. Maybe we had, a family situation that didn't allow us. Maybe we had to go to work early. Maybe we didn't have times of exploration. That's okay. That's why I want to cover how to look into your future point. Now, when people think of a future point, I'm talking about death. Death might be a little scary to think about, but reality is we're all on a timeline, and we want to accomplish as much as we can and live to our purpose to the fullest extent in that timeline. So for the future point, this is a different exercise where we're going to figure out, what does that future point look like? And this is where we can take a lot of our past touch points, our interests, and come up with a way to write what I like to call a eulogy or a future vision. It's really what we want to hear. If we're dead, we're being buried or whatever you believe in to do with your body, what are people saying about us? What did we leave behind? What do you want to hear in that moment? And, first we outline it, like, what were some of those things for me? Like, when I think in the future, like if I'm sitting there, well, obviously you're gonna come up with a bunch. And I really want you to spend a long time on this, because it'll be more than the video length. It took me about 2 to 3 hours. But what you're gonna do is you're gonna constantly write out your wants. You're gonna sit down, take another piece of paper and write down one thing you want. And then you're gonna pause, take a deep breath, exhale, and then write down another want. Inhale, exhale, write down another want. And you're gonna keep going until you can't write down any more things you want, and you can't repeat. So you always have to come up with a new want. And this took me about 2 to 3 hours, and it got slower and slower. I would take a deep breath, breathe out, and I wouldn't know what to write about. I would sit there and be like, man, I wrote about that. And then I started getting to this level where, the first 2 or 3 pages were just want. I want a dope car. I want to, have dope family. I want to have tons of money. I want to be successful. I want to be this. I want to be that. Blah, 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 blah. And then I started to break down. I was like, okay, well, I don't have much space left. What do I really want? Like, if I could just, okay, let's get down. And I started breaking down more and more of the deeper ones. Like, from going to, I want a car, to being like, I just want to be able to provide, I want to be able to have, I want to be able to make impact. And to me, the impact is sharing or getting people inspired, inspiring others, inspiring. I want to, what do I want? I want, a really close knit group of people there. I want people to say man, Derek really looked out for me. He always helped me whenever I was in need of help, he was there to help me move along. And so, and you break down to the very thing is I want to be Like I went from like, I want a car, I want to be remembered, I want everyone to think how amazing I was. And then you start to get around page 4 or 5 where you're just really squeaking out the rest of the ink. You can't really, you're struggling. You're just like, I just want to be. Like, I just want people to remember me as being a human. Like, I didn't spend all day inside. I actually, I traveled. I did all the things I wanted to do. Like, Derek Hurtado went out with a bang. That's what I want people to say. And this exercise is really going to drive that, that thinking, and that process is really therapeutic because it allows you to think what is important to you and what is those wants. So once you come up with that, you're going to take all these sheets, and what I want you to do is pick 7 to 10 of them. I want you to circle only 7 to 10 of them. You're not allowed to circle any more, any less. You have to circle 7 to 10. So you're going to come up with the 10 most important wants. If you could get nothing else, if you were going to an island, this is all you could bring with you in the world of wants. If this is the last thing you could have, you can have nothing else, what would be those 7 to 10 wants from this list? You have the whole list. You spent tons of time, maybe in multiple sessions, really figuring out what you want. And I think you should do this in one session, because that headache you get when you get to like page 3, I had it too, and then you burst out with another page, and you slowly run out of ink. But those last few are vital, because those will probably be in the 7 to 10. And once you have 7 to 10 of these, perfect. Just that alone is a little syllabus of what's important, what's not. Anything else, don't do. Cut out everything else on that list. That car, the Bugatti, gone, because it's not in the 7 to 10. This in itself is huge. Removing all of that waste and just focusing on the important, the throughput that matters, it's going to be vital for the last part, which is sealing the deal. And I think this is my most fun part. It's now writing your eulogy, writing your last words. That's crazy to think. Like, man, this is what I would want to be read. And what you're going to do is you're going to be descriptive. And I want you to think on the smell, the feel, what people would say. Like, man, Derek, for example, he walked through life, and he had, the feeling you got from him was just pure. He was powerful. He was confident. He wanted to help others. He, all those emotions, and then tie him into the wants. Like, he made an impact. He provided to his family. He was inspiring. He, maybe one of them is like, maybe you do want like a little cabin in the woods. He had his little cabin in the woods, but he did like that cabin in the woods. And we even went out a few times, and you were able to see how much he loved being in nature. Like, he really had that. So you write the last words in that descriptive format that include the 7 to 10 wants. And then once that's done, look at it maybe a few days later, rewrite it a little bit. That is the last words. That sheet that you'll be sitting there and people will be talking, they'll be reading it. That's what you want to hear, because this is how we're going to be able to work backwards. And this is huge. This is, one, it grounds you because you're a human being. You're only going to be around for so long. This is what removes the waste of what you don't want to do. And this provides you a sense of passion, a sense of always making sure that you're aligned with your purpose, because what you want to do is reverse engineer this. So that last words document is the future point. So you have the past touch points, which was a crazy exercise in itself. You have the future touch point, which is, amazing to be able to have. And then I even want to give you another cool tool. So let me erase this real quick. Real fast. I know this video is a long one, but it is a good one because it helped me so much find my purpose. So the next thing is current measurement. Where are you at right now? What is your little identity? Who am I? Hi, my name's Derek Hurtado. That's my little hand waving. I am in a state right now where I have, like, what do I currently have? Like right now I have, I'm living in a small apartment. I have X, Y, and Z. It's kind of it's a collection of where you're at, and then what what you want right now, all those kind of things. And it's really cool because after doing these two, this becomes even easier to do because you're kind of like lost. Where am I even right now? Well, now that you have a beginning and an end, you want to place yourself on the map. And so you're like, okay, I'm right here. This is me. This is Derek. I admit that I am here. I'm not here. I'm not here. I'm okay with being there. And there's other things you can do too, like the Kolbe-A test, as well as this, the Strength Finder. Those are two tests that are online. They're assessments. And the cool thing too with that is if most people have taken the Kolbe-A. It's actually some requirements for jobs. If you've taken the Kolbe-A and the Strength Finder, let me know, DM me, and I'll be able to send you a really cool resource that ties the two together and gives you a full, clear picture of where you're currently at. But for most part, this is really kind of analytics, more analysis of where you are. And then even an easy one is free assessments online, like the personality test, the Myers-Briggs. All these little tests allow you to kind of get clarity on the now and give you more insight, because that's the goal of this. You don't know what your purpose is. You want to figure that out, but as much information as you can will give you the ammunition for the declaration of existence. Now, I hope you've all been waiting for this moment, and if you've followed through with all these steps, you're at the final part, the declaration of existence. This is huge, people. This is insane because you literally have dived into the past touch points. You've found the future points with your where you want to be, when you're in the grave, what are people saying about you? You have current measurements. You have all the damn ammunition you could possibly want. You are more backed up than anyone I know on the measurements. I mean, geez, you're like a database right now. And now we want to declare the existence. This is a powerful, powerful exercise that I'm going to show you right now. And this is what people like Tony Robbins and others teach. You want to get powered up by your purpose. So what we're going to do is declare your existence in one statement. And so for me, I look at my past. Video, solving problems, strategy, okay? And then next, I look at the future. My death letter, my eulogy, talks about how I want to be remembered, which is I want to be remembered for giving tons of value. I really value solving problems. I think learning how to solve problems is something that I've always valued. Like I really want to disrupt, the education system. That's what I wrote in mine actually. I write my eulogy every single day in the morning, and I rewrite it every single day because it just really ingrains in me. I even sometimes have my friends or people I'm with read it to me, and I lay down on the couch like this, just a joke, but it's true because it makes me think about it. Education is something I wanted to impact. I wanted to be able to travel the world. Like I was saying, oh, Derek, he traveled the world. He was able to see all these cool things. He was not into so much possessions. No, I was more into experiences. So I kind of got a generalness of here, and I also did some tests, like I told you, the assessments, and I found out that some key things about me was from all these assessments, I was really into strategy. I found out strategy. I liked one of the things too I learned was I liked looking at all the options and kind of being able to select. I loved the flow of systems and how they work. So I loved to have multiple options, and I would pick one. And then of course I found out about myself that I'm also very creative. So see, there's similar comment, like this is similar to this. This is similar to, this. Solving problems was similar to education as well. So there are similarities throughout all these. And then I wrote out my statement. What I want to do, I'll write it first and then I'll say it.